Lindex has, from the start, realized that tech is going to be a core part of our success. Do you want to add strategic capability in the stores? You have to decide, where are my business challenges and on what layer should I solve them? If we're going to provide new experience, digital signage or Wi-Fi or other solutions for the customers, if we're going to provide all this kind of innovation, you have to also create an organization which is built for that. So you really have to understand the connection between the architecture and how you organize. And you really have to design your organization architecture for a particular purpose. You should just put new expectations on AI. What do you want out from AI? You can probably get it. We are building these data sources as they are asked for, as they are needed by the stores.
Here's Paula, and this is episode 10 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. First of all, it's been 10 episodes. This is just the beginning of your journey with us here at OFFBounds. So far, we have been together to 4 countries, 7 cities, and let me tell you something, we already have confirmed interviews in South America and Asia. So you can expect true global perspectives in commerce here in our show. Today, we will hear from Florian Westerdahl. He's been leading the tech team at Lindex for 15 years. Lindex is a fashion chain with 480 stores in 18 markets. They sell women, baby, and kids clothes, as well as lingerie. Florian and I talk about how technology has been empowering stores. But what caught most of my attention is his project called Copilot, which is empowering the associates with generative AI, and how with their help, Florian is able to give them the information they need. Very interesting AI use case. According to Florian, Lindex might be a fashion company first, but they are also a fashion tech company. But before we go to the interview, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to the show so you don't miss any episode. You can do it either on YouTube or any podcast provider. And I promise I'll keep working super hard to bring you the best content.
Florian, thank you so much for hosting me here in Gothenburg. It's been a pleasure so far. And, well, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to Gothenburg. I'm happy to have you here.
Well, let's dive into what brought you to retail. It's been 15 years that you are leading the technology for Lindex, which is a fashion company. How did you get into it?
Well, I wish I could say I was just aiming for retail and looking for it, but as so many things in life, it's just coincidence. They were looking for people and I was looking for new opportunities, and that's why I joined the team. I actually joined it first as a technician. So I actually had 2 years as a technician building some systems for them, together with the great teams at Lindex. Yeah.
But 15 years ago, technology was way different than it is nowadays. How was this challenge of getting to retail and develop technology within retail?
Well, at that point, actually, Lindex has just actually hired a really interesting person from H&M who had switched to Lindex. And she was proclaiming this big news that the new valuable thing for companies was data. And she had a really strong position within Lindex, forecasting, data, sales data, everything like that. So that put completely new demands on IT and the tech platform, of course. So I saw it as an excellent challenge. I was just joining from Unisys, a US outsourcing company. So I was joining Lindex and I had all this tech experience with me, and I thought this is an amazing challenge. And at that point, I mean, it wasn't about retail, it was purely about the tech challenge. And I met this amazing tech team inside Lindex to work together with. And we built two fantastic solutions for ERP platform, data platform, etc. But the ability to actually analyze data to those kind of ideas that we actually really can do now. We were really early then, so you had to fly to Germany, look at particular hardware, do huge tests, etc. It was a different world.
But you're already focused on data, so that's interesting.
True. I was put on the path there. Yeah, true.
And how is Lindex today in terms of its structure? You have stores, you have stores in a few countries, you have e-commerce, wholesale. How is that set?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an e-commerce platform for the whole of the European Union. And we also have stores like in 17 markets, like 400 plus stores. We also have like franchise from you find us from Dubai to Iceland actually. But the major part of the stores are Lindex owned and are managed by Lindex. So that would be the lion part. So 400 stores is ours, maybe 30 stores is franchise. Then on top of that, I would say that the evolving business right now would be like the business-to-business side. So that's where the new opportunities exist. That's where the opportunity to scale for the company exists. Yeah.
So that's you selling to retailers.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a big trend that is happening actually.
Yeah.
And as someone that works with so many countries and different districts, I'll say, different cultures, how do you do to manage all of that? Is that all from the headquarters, or you have different teams elsewhere?
Just like technology, these things moves in waves, you know? So we come from a history where the responsibility for sales at Lindex were put on the country organizations. So the country organization has quite a lot of influence on the sales and the stores and the marketing, etc., and responsibilities. Now, in the wake of omnichannel, in the wake of a more complex world, we are centralizing more and more of these services. But on the tech side, of course, we have worked with these different cultures and these different countries for many, many years. So we kind of know about their differences and their strengths that shifts between the countries. It's quite clear profiles, actually. Yeah.
So, okay, Lindex is a fashion company,
Yeah.
but I've heard you saying once in an interview that it's a fashion tech company. What does that mean?
Well, I would say that we are a fashion company first, but we are a tech company second. And essentially, it's just that almost all initiatives, almost all business development that is being done is very dependent on tech now. And Lindex has, from the start, realized that tech is going to be a core part of our success, how we can realize these strategies that are being put forward. And this means that we also have to understand technology, and we also have to learn from tech companies on how to organize and manage change in an efficient way. So that's the perspective I would put on that idea that we are a fashion company first, but a tech company second.
And how do you manage the in-house tech and third-party tech?
Well, I would love to say that we have a really, really clear strategy there, but there is also, of course, a ton of history behind this. But going forward, we, of course, look at where is it important with speed and flexibility? Where is it important to differentiate ourselves from the competition? That's where I would like to put effort. So sometimes that means that we put the effort in-house, depending on circumstances, resources, etc. And sometimes it's better with a partner. And I also would say that this also shifts over time, because like business to business, it's a new area for us. It's a growing area. So in that perspective, we kind of start with quite simple solutions, maybe in-house, doing things, scaling with people, you know.
Like what?
Yeah, of course. If you don't have systems for everything, you maybe a new channel is born in Excel, the first iteration of it, and then as it grows, we kind of find out is this a good thing for a partnership with a good tech partner, or is this something that actually is essential to have in-house? And what are the factors for in-house? Absolutely speed and flexibility. So the idea of not having to discuss with a partner if you want to change the strategy, or if you're going to do a ton of innovation, or if you're going to try some ideas, then of course it's more attractive potentially to have it in-house.
So how was it, like, you joined 15 years ago, Lindex, and I'm sure you went through a lot of transformations.
Yeah.
Tech, what is tech today, what is tech now, back then is not the same thing. What were the key points for you in this journey?
It was 2019, we were looking at the stores, and we were like looking at all the technical depth that have grown in the stores.
Because you were already like almost 70 years, like, right? You're almost a 7-year-old company. So you must have a lot of tech debt.
Yeah, and I mean, the technical depth in the stores is like 15, 20 years old. So and by that point, I mean, the e-commerce was really starting to take off, and the teams were working well, and we were kind of changing the perspective and looking at the stores. So, but at that point, the business side was really like getting the first idea. So why don't we try self-checkout? Why don't we try new solutions for the stores? How can we find new format for the store? So there were all these kind of ideas inside the business. And of course, us coming from a tech perspective, look at 20 years of technical depth and realize that you can't really start from this point. We don't have a platform for innovation. We don't have the organization for innovation. And all this needs to be created. So at the beginning, actually, we really, I tried the traditional way, you know, we need to change, we need new infrastructure, we need new platform, new solutions. And I was always met by this idea that, okay, you have to make a business case for a new Wi-Fi. You have to make a business case for internet, a faster internet connection, for redundancy. You have to make business case for all these things. And I was thinking, like, we are not making business cases for the light in the stores. We are not making business case for a lot of stuff. And I thought this is kind of really foundational stuff. But I also understand the business. Of course, the idea of a business case is very, very sound. But at some point, I really had to find a new way to communicate about platforms. And the idea in my head, at least, was that this is about... The first question is really, do you want to keep the stores? Yeah, that's the first question. The second question you have to ask yourself, do I want to have strategic capability in this channel? So if I just don't want to keep the stores, but actually want to compete and evolve and find new formats, new solutions. So the first question, do you want to keep the stores? Absolutely. They're a big part of the revenue. They're going to be with us for a very long time, many years. So do we also want strategic capability in this channel? Yes, we do.
That was the digital program?
Yeah, and that was the idea behind the digital program. Because if we're going to compete, if we're going to innovate in the store, which are physical, which are have all the bearings of the limitations of the physical world, right? We really had to take the lessons from the e-commerce side and look at the stores in a new perspective. So if we're going to have like innovation and development in the same pace as on e-commerce, is that even possible on the stores? And it's absolutely not possible if we have to build the stores case by case. So we had a discussion internally, and by then the customer experience was named global sales, and there was really a strong partnership, and there still is a really strong partnership between Lindex IT and global sales within Lindex. We have really a great partnership in developing organization and technology together.
By listening to them, like they got the first feedback and you listen? Yeah,
actually, it was during the discussions between ourselves. Now, how can we do this journey with the stores, that we formed the idea together about a digital store program, and to sell it as a single business case, if you like. Do you want to add strategic capability in the stores? Do you want to have the same capability as a tech company in the stores? So.
And does that go from the connectivity to every step? Or?
Yeah, and that's really important. I think that's why it's so important to understand technology, because it's very easy to sit just on the top and see all the kind of services you might like to provide, all the kind of solutions, all the kind of new processes you want to establish in the stores, the new offers, etc., the new experience for the customers. But to really understand what it means behind the scenes, that's really important. So, for example, let's just make an example, because I really think that we should talk about examples to make everybody understand what I mean, right? So, you may think it's not very strategic to think about deploying high-speed internet to your stores. You may think it's not very strategic to deploy 4G network automatic failover to the stores, but that's not what it means, really. It means that we have decided that our stores are always connected. They are always online, right? That means that we can construct and design all the services for much faster changes, because we don't have to deploy local equipment in every store. We don't have to deploy redundant solutions with offline databases, everything, and all that comes with it. Because all that makes your changes go slower. It makes testing much more complex. It makes disaster planning much more complex. So you have to decide, where are my business challenges and on what layer should I solve them? And I'm a big advocate for solving them on the lower layer. If you can just buy them on the lower layer and solve them there, you can move much more flexible and fast up here, because up here the logic is much more complex, the price is much higher, when the price is about speed and flexibility. So of course the lower layer costs money.
And I think like if you're fixing things on the upper layer, there will be a moment that if you don't have the foundation, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even more expensive.
And you have to fix it for everything that's running on that layer, right? So you would rather like to solve it on the bottom layer, right? So the program was really about explaining what parts do we have to put in place and how should they work together in order to both provide these basic capabilities that I'm talking about, but also provide other foundations. So one foundation, of course, is RFID, for example. So RFID is just a technology. So I think it's a really bad name for it, but it's about creating digital twins. So we want to create a digital twin of you as an employee, for example.
I've never thought about RFID like that, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to create a twin of each employee, right?
Yeah.
Because else you can't do sales on a mobile device, because if we can't identify you, we are not allowed to sell, right? So we have to identify all the stuff. We have to identify and have data about the stores. We have to have data on each individual garment, right? And that also comes now with new sustainability product passports. So the idea is really to create both the platform, but also this kind of digitalization of all staff, products, etc. And that's really set the foundation on top of which it's much easier to innovate. It's much easier to add new functionality. It's much easier to run business cases. So the digital program got, like, you have this number of money, you have 3 years to deliver this. And I think...
And when did you start that?
Yeah, but then I can blame COVID, because during COVID we got locked out, everybody. We couldn't work.
Yeah.
So we lost 1.5 years, and actually during this year we're going to deploy the last solutions. So I would say that at the end of this year the full foundation is put in place really for the stores. And I think one thing is really important as well is that it's not just about technology. It's about, okay, if we're gonna provide innovation around our products, if in stores, like find them, display them, etc. If we're gonna provide new experience, digital signage or Wi-Fi or other solutions for the customers, if we're gonna provide all this kind of innovation, you have to also create an organization which is built for that. So you have to design an organization which is actually built to do innovation on top of that platform you're creating.
So not only the architecture of the system itself, but also the architecture of the organization.
Yeah, and I think...
Is that the Conway's law?
Yeah.
You told me one day.
Yeah, I heard about that, yeah. No, it's absolutely true. I think that's one of the most important laws, and it's often overseen. It's about how an organization which exists for a long while and grows organically also grows a system architecture which reflects that organization, which means that if you just reorganize your organization, if you just change your organization and don't change your architecture, the consequences might be really bad, although your ideas on the new organization is excellent. So you really have to understand the connection between the architecture and how you organize. And you really have to design your organization architecture for a particular purpose. So if that is security, reliability, and nothing will change, that's one set of organization, that's one set of architecture. If flexibility and speed is your priority, then you have a completely other setup, right? Yeah. So that's the basics.
So you had to change, like when this plan came to life, it was also a cultural change within the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. And now we had a very small organization around the stores at that point, so we really had to build everything from scratch. And at this point, we took a lot of inspiration from tech companies, how they think around innovation and technology. So we really tried to, at this point, we created 4 domains, which we still have today. Let's see how it evolves going forward. But right now we have 4 domains. So we basically separated the stores into 4 domains in which we can do innovation and change in a high pace. And we also tried to cut the dependencies between these teams as much as possible so they can deliver everything from start to end-to-end delivery, really, within their domain. So that's the ambition in each domain right now. So we created like one for commerce, responsible for sales and how sales is served digitally. And we created one for in-store experience, one for the operations of the stores, right? So these are the examples of the type of domains that we created. And the 4th domain would be inventory, for example, which to find the right product and pick the right product, etc. Everything that has to do with that, right? So within these domains, the idea is that you grow teams over a while which really become domain experts. So they will not only understand the technology here, they will actually understand the process in the stores, and they will work very tightly with the stores. This means that you can do a lot of innovation and a lot of decision, if you like, on the domain level at some point when the domain is steady enough, experienced enough. So that's kind of the goal to work towards. But this is a journey, of course.
Having more specialized teams for each domain. That's
absolutely
got it. And I love how you're experimenting a lot of things in stores, but you're trying something that is very innovative. That is the Copilot. What is that?
I would say that's the first example of us doing innovation on our brand new platform. So that's why I differentiate them, right? So actually, it was in December 2022, right, that ChatGPT 3.5 was released, and in November, I think it was released. In December, I had Christmas holiday, and I noticed that what's going on here? This is an absolutely amazing, interesting technology, and I mean, everybody was like going crazy by then. They were creating love letters. They were like trying to fool the GPT, doing all these kind of tests. And by then, I think I was starting to think about all the other big transformation we had, like internet. That's equally big, I would say. Smartphone, maybe equally big as well. We don't know how big
kind
this
of mobile, I think, connected everything.
And these are really, really big shifts. But this is a logical software shift, so it's much faster, but just as big. That means that we have never had this kind of wave of change coming in this pace, right? It's like a tsunami. And I was thinking, okay, I really want to play around with this right now. But instead I was thinking, okay, this is an extreme power that we never had before. How can we leverage this inside our business? People are trying to like predict the future all the time. And I think that you should really solve problems here and now. So I was looking at the problems here and now. Okay, we have an AI who can do conversations about data, and it can understand context, and it can at least seem really intelligent, and it can actually make logical reasoning. It can. So that's a lot. Okay. So
and you looked at it and you were inspired. You were like, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, what are the kind of problems that we have inside a company that's been around forever? It's been around so long that we don't even view it as a problem anymore. We just view this, we're going to live with this forever, and we just have to...
like, that's how stores work. That's it.
Yeah. So one of these kind of foundational challenges is that there are information everywhere inside the company. And you, as a first-line worker in the store, as a salesperson, have to know about everything about the tech systems. You have to know about all the latest campaigns. You have to know about sustainability. You have to know about what's going on the e-commerce side. You have to know about fashion. You have to know about... you have to know about security. There is no end to it. And the amount of information that we push is actually so much that we have to schedule it just for the store to be able to consume it.
And I think like if the store associates need to know all that all the time, there's not much time to sell.
Exactly. And as well, even then when you push the data and they might need it in 3 months, will they know it? No. So there is a lot of waste going on here as well. So I was like, okay, one more thing which is important. I think people are doing a huge mistake with AI. They are all speaking about the limitations. They're all speaking about the risks. And I think that we should absolutely speak about them. But they're all focusing on these kind of things.
I think it's just clickbait, so people be like,
yeah,
oh my God, I'm so
absolutely. It's fueled by clickbait. You're absolutely right. But the focus is completely wrong. And I think you should just put new expectations on AI. What do you want out from AI? You can probably get it. So I said, I want an AI which doesn't hallucinate, doesn't invent stuff. I don't want to talk about anything that it has learned itself, not a single word. I want it to just read all our data that we provide for the stores, everything, and know it by heart, and be able to discuss it with the stores and talk about it, help the stores with this data, explain it, but also understand the context from which the user is connecting. So is this a store manager? Is this in Czechoslovakia? What kind of role is it? What kind of situation is this? What time is it?
And just going back, so when you enter the company, you're already focusing on data. So you have this 15 years of data. Yeah, so like it's not like any company can do that if they don't have data. You already had it.
No, and this is an interesting side as well. So I think every company, I think the data standard on this kind of data is pretty low in most companies. And it's the same at Lindex. So it has grown organically. We have it in multiple sources. So everybody, I know a lot of tech people, of course. So they told me, you can't do this kind of project if you don't have very good data sources. So just forget about it. And I was like,
I kind of have.
No, I don't have.
Okay.
But I thought, isn't it the other way around? That I need AI to expose my data sources, and actually show us what they are lacking. What are our stores asking? What do they need to know on a daily basis? Do we actually know that, or do we just think we know that and invent manuals centrally and just push information that we think should be useful? We do our best, but do we know? And so I thought, no, we're going to start the AI on the data we have, although it's bad, and just expose it. So we have been running the pilot now. We're in the second pilot now for 30 stores, 250 employees approximately, where they can ask about everything that they need to know for the stores. And we are during this phase, we are mapping everything they are asking. So there is 4 types of conversations you can say. You can say that there are successful conversations by 40%. So it seems that we have good data on approximately 40% that need to know. And that's great, of course, but I thought it would be higher, but that's where it is. Then, of course, we have data where the user says it's wrong. No, this is wrong. And that's get investigated. Then we have data where AI says you don't have any data source that matches. Okay, then we investigate that. Then we have data where the AI finds data, gives an answer, but we don't like the answer it gives, right? So that's also for investigation.
But it's not an hallucination.
No,
okay.
No. And that's really easy to fix. So we basically told our AI that you should only use our data sources for all the answers, and it does. So that's it. So what we get now is really a clear image on what the store actually needs to know. And we're kind of surprised by some of the questions and some of the things they need to know. And
just an example.
Well, for example, one of the first things that they started to ask about we declared this as a helper in the store to help with tech and help with routines, etc. But it actually started asking a lot about product information. And of course, we can add that to the AI, so we're going to add that, of course. But now it's data-driven we are building these data sources as they are asked for, as they are needed by the stores. And why we didn't know exactly what the stores wanted was because they have asked colleagues, they have asked country organizations, they have asked security, they asked marketing department. So they have really...
it wasn't in one spot. It was
exactly.
Just being
it's so spread, and it's a workload that's going on all the time with lead times, etc. And that's of course what in which way we want to measure this. We want to measure this with lead time. So of course there is so much more benefits out of this.
I was gonna ask, what are the KPIs? Like, what are you measuring?
We could measure customer satisfaction. We could measure how fast we can onboard new staff and make them effective. We can measure a lot. The case is really, really big. But we want to keep it simple. So what we're doing right now is we pushed out a survey to check how often during this day did you have to ask a colleague or look something up or check something that you didn't know by heart, right? So we are gathering that kind of data. And now we're going to measure, okay, how much can we impact this with Copilot? So this is going on right now. So we are going to measure lead time. And for the case...
At some point, you're going to be able to measure how much time you saved, I imagine.
Yeah, well, we're going to see every question coming in, right? So we know that's a question that needs to be solved in another way, right? But we're also going to do a survey for the stores who are being running the Copilot and get their opinion as well. But KPIs are always really, really hard. But I would say that I set an easy target. To make the business case excellent, it's enough that we find 1 hour per store per week, and we will find much more, I think.
And how has been the reception of the store associates?
Oh, it's been very dualistic. So one part is, the amazement of 3.5 or 4. Now we actually running GPT-4 Turbo. The amazement of AI. This is the potential is huge. The source this is amazing, but also a lot of frustration. Why doesn't it have more data sources? Why don't we have more data for it? Feed it, please. So now,
keep asking. Please keep asking.
Yeah,
so
and
one day you're gonna have it.
Exactly. So now we're gonna have this trend, I hope, where we just improve our data sources. And if it benefits the whole company if the data sources improve, because it's the foundation for other automation as well. If the data is good, you can do a lot of stuff. Later on, we could probably connect the customers online or in stores or in the app to some of the data sources because they're good enough to serve our customers in a good way.
And we saw ChatGPT revolutionizing many things in 2023, but do you think 2024 is going to be the year that's going to be fully deployed, or we're going to need more time?
I think we can see 2024 quite clearly. I think we have a lack of compute in the world, so we can already see that we have challenges with latency, etc. And I think everybody who's using AI is now why isn't it faster, right? And that's just going to get worse as more and more systems now integrate AI into their solutions. We have the NVIDIA chipset factories that we have. We don't have more. And even if we provide more chipset, we don't have the power enough. So I think we'll experience a natural throttling of AI, which will just...
It's going faster than we can accommodate? You mean?
No, I think, yeah, exactly. So it won't go that fast because we can't accommodate it. So I think we're going to have a throttling effect for the coming 2-3 years, I would say. Absolutely 2024. That's my guess.
And you basically created a tech solution in-house.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be perfect.
With help from an excellent team, excellent partners, also with help from Microsoft. So, yeah.
Do you see yourself selling this technology to others?
Well, we have gotten inquiries, but of course, Lindex have never sold solutions. So, who knows?
Becoming, from retailer to a tech company or a retail tech company.
I spoke with some retailers in UK, and they were quite used to selling solutions. But in Scandinavia, this is not the standard today. No.
Interesting. And I already have some ideas on how you're going to answer this question, but I want to know what has been the biggest achievement of your career?
Oh, that's I was really unprepared for that question.
That's the reaction I wanted.
Okay, good, you got it. So no, I would actually say something strange. I think we are building more and more absolutely amazing teams within Lindex. I think that's when I value everything, because that's a sustainable, persistent capability inside the company that you can't just buy. You can't buy it.
You earn it.
You have to build it, grow it, maintain it. So and I mean, that's a team effort. I have an excellent IT management team around me, colleagues who are absolutely amazing in various areas. So we together we are really, really strong, and together with global sales we are syncing more and more what should be Lindex principles going forward. How should we organize together? How do we best achieve new objectives together? So that's a learning experience. But I think the organization and the teams are the real value, I think. Although digital store program is absolutely amazing too. So yeah.
And what is your biggest failure?
Oh God.
Another one.
I have done a lot of small mistakes. So I have a ton of small mistakes. I think I underestimated the time it would take to build a new organization for the digital store program. So we were heading into COVID, etc. And also there is quite good competition on the tech resources in Gothenburg. So it took a real long time, and maybe we should have employed much more aggressive strategies there. So I would say that Lindex lost more time than necessary there, and I should have made a different decision earlier.
And what would be your advice to other CTOs on deploying generative AI?
When it comes to generative AI, I would say that we are getting some specialists out there who actually know something, but for a while we haven't had any. So the first is not to listen too much to media, absolutely not listen too much to tech companies coming in and telling you all about Gen AI, because they don't know that much, actually.
It's very hard to be very specialized if you just got out there.
I also think that other new technology that we encountered are really technologies that we already know about. So it's just faster, it's just a new combination of already existing technologies. So we can very quickly relate to it and place it and put it into our strategies and our ideas, right? This is a completely new technology. And then you have to approach it much more like a child. So you have to engage with it, solve some issue inside the company, or just play around, I don't care, but you have to have an open mind and you have to engage with the technology. Small or big project, I don't care either, but you have to engage with it. Because the questions I had about risks, they are still there, but they have changed completely. And the questions about how to deploy it, what the challenges should be internally, have also changed completely. And that's by engaging with it. So I think the questions you have going in change very fast when you work it. So I would say engage with it. Then when it comes to change management, Gen AI, that's a separate chapter. I mean, everybody is scared we're happy about automation, but we're also scared about it. We're scared about our jobs, right? So I think you really have to have a plan on how to accommodate change in a positive way inside the company when it comes to this. So from a personal perspective, I really like the idea of working both bottom up and top down. And working bottom up means that, that means our designers should engage with generative AI immediately. And we engaged in an early design process, so in the inspiration phase, because that's not a mapped process. So we don't we don't hurt the existing business process, but we just learn. So that means our designers already know about a lot of the designers, at least, we are scaling it up, knows a lot about prompting, knows a lot about different generative AIs, follow a generative artist, and really learns what role generative AI will play in their trade going forward. And that has been absolutely crucial that in time, and not tech talking about generative AI with them, but designers talking generative AI with designers. That's absolutely crucial. So when I introduced generative AI for the designers, I created what I called an AI safari. So we gathered designers in the lunchroom, and I said we're going to visit some wild beasts that have been born in the corners of the internet. I mean, you know, these kind of solutions exists on the internet somewhere, right? So and we're gonna learn how to work with. In this case, it was Midjourney, for example. Learn how to play around with Midjourney and understand what generative AI and what it would mean for us, because it will occur in all our tools, right? In 3D tools, in Adobe's products, everywhere. It can occur everywhere. So we really need to engage with it early, because it takes time to change people. Technology moves fast, so you have to start that process. And during that session, I actually just had Midjourney produce like
woman walking to the store.
No, it's a fashion. And then I said at the end, I reprompted and said, but do it as by Lindex. And the room got like quiet. And it just created, I think it was knitted fashion. And it was like quite...
They got quite like scared? They
were
quiet,
but while the picture was being created and like tense, the room was tense. And then somebody just spoke, that's Lindex 2 years ago. That's exactly spot on. And then they were like, okay, do it with this influencer, do it with this kind of camera, do it with this. And they were like, because they
you show them what the new technology is capable of.
And I didn't know that at the point, but I mean, at that point, of course, you start a process inside design with all the worries, everything like that. But I didn't communicate anymore with design after that. It became an internal design matter, and they have been sharing this all the time. The tech team, they have their own tech team, which are designers basically, or more tech oriented, and they've been sharing that internally in design and really exploring how you can be inspired by generative AI and sharing with the team. And now we have reached a point where they are actually, there is a genuine positive feeling. You can really see how this will benefit in your work, what kind of place it has in your process, if you want to. So that's the bottom-up journey, and it's important to. I think it's important to both approaches playfulness, approach generative AI in a playful way, because it's a solution which so well facilitates being played with, right? Does it make sense?
It does make sense. That's how I approach it.
Yeah.
I'm still learning the prompts though.
Yeah.
Like I'm very bad at it, but maybe we can do some training.
Yeah.
And my last question: what is your advice to CTOs in terms of building a team? A good team in retail.
A good team in retail. Oh God! I mean, that's 1 hour more.
So, there's another episode.
Yeah, I would say
give me in 3 sentences.
Yeah, if I would say it shortly, I would say that what creates a team? Well, that's shared goals. So you have to put shared goals in place. You also have to acknowledge that it doesn't matter what kind of models or ideas or frameworks you follow. These are people, and people and teams are in different places sometimes. So you have to see the people for where they are and what their next step is, not maybe what your model is saying, right? So you have to understand these people you're working with. I'm not sure if it makes sense.
It does make sense. Well, thank you so much. It was a great conversation. I've learned so much. I definitely want to learn more about prompts and enjoy more of Sweden. Thank you so much for hosting me again.
I find it phenomenal that leaders like Florian saw a valuable use case for generative AI in stores. Similar to Lindex, Copilot is Carrefour's data supermarket that we covered in the first episode. Large language models are set to revolutionize the way we interact with the world. But as Florian said, there's a concern that the world doesn't have the computing capabilities to allow it to grow. Seems like OpenAI CEO Sam Altman also has this concern, and he's asked for $7 trillion to invest in a new chip venture, which for NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is not needed, as you have to consider that computers will get faster with time. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments or reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can also send me an email to ideas@offbounds.tv. See you next Tuesday.